Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for the kamikaze?
Watch this.
Angry Karen just discovered Adult Swim in a promo advocating, quote, witches abusing babies and wants it canceled. So apparently this woman just now discovered Adult Swim, which has been around since 2001. I think.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid watching Space Ghost, and I was like really young.
And that shit is so good. But
yeah, it is.
It's been going on for 18 years. And,
Yep.
And she just now discovered this clip. And maybe I should bring it up and let you see it. It's, let's see. She tweeted out a promo that airs on Adult Swim late night writing, quote, Cartoon Network after hours. They throw it in your face. They hope you aren't the kind of parent who monitors what your kids watch and do. They're busy conditioning them. What do you see here? I see witches abusing babies. This is not okay. This is not funny. So I'm going to share the clip with you, and I want you to let me know what your take on this clip is. Is it really as offensive as this Karen seems to think it is, or is this all much ado about nothing? First of all, your stance. You're a fucking fan of Space Ghost, obviously. What about like Rick and Morty?
Yeah, the first thing without seeing the clip or the picture you're gonna send me though, the first thing I thought of when you said that was that is elementary in Disney compared to the stuff I've seen on what's it called, Adult Swim. You ever seen Supergirl? Holy shit! I just know Adult Swim is not, what she said was just like, the crazy shit I've seen on Adult Swim. I'm just like, really, that's what you're aiming for?
So possibly she just had a kid that aged to the group where they're watching this kind of stuff for the first time. I don't know, but I'll stall while you're looking for that. But I have so many questions. Like, first of all, if you don't want your kid watching it, Adult Swim literally starts at 9 o'clock, I think, maybe 8:30. Why isn't your child asleep if you don't want your child watching that? What is on after 9 o'clock that your child is acceptable to watch? That you're not monitoring. If it's cable stuff, then maybe you should flip it to Netflix or Disney Plus if you want to do it with your child like that. At the end of the day, though, I remember my mom and me were just talking about this recently when I saw her in Panama City, where she was like, remember that time you snuck up and you put a blanket over the living room to try to block all the lights so you could watch South Park bigger, longer, and uncut? When I was I forgot how old I was, maybe 11. I wasn't old enough to watch it. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I grounded you for a week. And I was like, totally worth it. I love that movie. Hilarious. That's what I was going to ask. So what were your restrictions as a kid? When were you allowed to watch R-rated stuff? How'd that go?
Well, it's crazy. These kids, they have a library full of loopholes to get. But before me and you, because we had just basic cable, we didn't really have the internet or videos or YouTube and stuff like that. But I was allowed to watch Dragon Ball Z, which can get violent at times. I was allowed to watch the stuff basically Nickelodeon, Disney, or Cartoon Network. When it came to the adult stuff, she would be very contradicting sometimes. I could watch King of the Hill, I could watch Simpsons, and I could watch Family Guy, which sometimes they push the line, but I would argue not as
crazy.
Yeah, but not as bad as South Park. I would say. I'd say South Park purposely goes over that line.
Yeah. Yes.
Simpsons and King of the Hill, they'll stay on the line. They'll get really really close. But I was allowed to watch Simpsons and King of the Hill and stuff like that, but it would be a no for South Park. And no for Ren and Stimpy for some reason. But, even as kids, I found my way around it. My mom's going to the store for 20 minutes. I have time to get this bootleg video I got from my friend at school and put it in, Kids, if they want to do it, they will find a way. I'm just, and I got to accept that with my child as well, even though I will be monitoring stuff I don't want him to do. I know for a fact, though, if he has my DNA, he'll find a way.
So, okay, well, you have a perspective that's unique to mine. I'm sure there are a lot of people that have to kind of navigate this kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on how you're going to parent in that regards? When is it okay to watch PG-13? Is he already watching PG-13? R-rated? How does that go?
I honestly, I could probably be better. I think Toddy's been monitoring that better than I have.
He's allowed to watch PG-13. I guess some PG-13 you do gotta monitor because some of that is on the line. Like Marvel movies are PG-13. I would argue any kid could watch those. It's
pretty
fine.
safe, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty safe. They're fine. But there are like, let's see, there's some Will Ferrell movies that I would be like, I don't know if I would let my child watch that are PG-13. So, you know, it's just all about, you know, you got to, as a parent, it's your job to do the research of what this is before you allow them to do that. And the other day, Isaiah is on YouTube watching video game videos of GTA, and I'm not paying attention. But Toddy's like, no, you're not watching this, you know. And I was like, what is this? I just saw like Thanos or something, like yeah, because GTA puts a lot of random stuff in it. And he's all like, she's like, no, that's Grand Theft Auto. And I'm like, oh yeah, the beating of the prostitutes, the selling of the drugs, the stealing of the cars. Yeah, that's not good.
Probably not great.
So she's better at that than me. But at the end of the day, you gotta. I guess I don't want to sound like the cool dad. You gotta stay hip on what's going on in your kid's life. Hey, you know, to see what's good and what's bad, you know.
You're 100% right when you said like there's a loophole for kids these days where they have access to everything all the time. Right. I have a brother, not had past tense. I have a brother that's like 8 years older than me. So
oh wow, he's in his 90s.
Yeah, correct. 94. And he was, you know, high school kid when I was young, middle school, maybe in elementary. So I watched, you know, Eddie Murphy Raw when I was 6 or 7. You know what I mean? Yep. My parents were super liberal about it, and I don't think it had negative effects on me per se, but I think even that varies from household to household. When you're looking at what is acceptable content, are you more concerned about sex or violence?
That's a good question because both of them should be monitored, especially at a young age, because you don't want your child to like sexually harass kids his age. My son's 8.
You don't want your kid to sexually harass people.
Exactly. I don't want my
personal choice. I respect it.
But parents don't look like that though. Sometimes parents are just overly like, oh, I hope nobody sexually harasses my child. 100%. Yeah. I don't want my child sexually harassed. I don't want anybody touching him inappropriately or saying negative things to him. At the same time, we have to look at it too. Like, I don't want my kid to be the one doing that, you know? So yeah, I think a lot of people don't look at it that side. Like, I would want equally both. I don't want my son to be the sexual assaulter or sexual harasser. So, like, you know, he is at this age where I say and do things and he immediately copies it, and I'm like, you shouldn't have said or done that. I'm sorry, that's just adult daddy doing that. Don't say or do that. So if he might regurgitate that. It's understandable. With that being said, you said violence as well. I don't want my son accidentally killing somebody, like doing you ever remember that kid that accidentally killed his sister from doing a wrestling move?
Yeah,
you know?
I heard about that.
Yeah. So
damn.
There's I guess I can't say there's levels to the bad of the negativity when it comes to violence and sexual stuff because they're both equally bad. But let's fast forward it to like when he's like maybe high school. Okay, I know sex and violence might happen. I think I'm more going to push no violence, and this is why. Because they're already going to be learning, like, sexual, like, condoms and sex and all this shit. You know, they're teaching that in elementary and middle school now. Mm-hmm. So, if he's going to do this without... Of course, I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to be like, hey, yeah, son, bring some bitches to my house and fuck them. I'm not going to do that, of course. But, you know, there's safety measurements of making sure, like, things don't happen to the worst. Now, when it comes to, like, violence, I don't want my son... gangbanging and like getting jumped or being the guy that's bullying people. I'd rather him trying to be that guy hooking up with the girl, I guess. You know, if I was to choose one.
America's got a weird thing about that. We have a kind of interesting relationship with sex versus violence. Like, let's look at Marvel movies. Captain America can kill fucking 50 people in this trilogy. Facts. No problem. And there's no titties. There's no sex in the MCU. It's almost as if each and every one of those characters are just completely celibate. There was a minute in Age of Ultron where it looked like maybe Black Widow and Hulk were going to fuck.
Yeah. They were having some shower power time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. I guess in all of this stuff said, I'm a guy. Ian's a guy. Isaiah is a guy. Isaiah?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, Isaiah, right? You know what's funny? The way you said that, Isaiah, I was like, is he in here? Did you see him?
Isaiah,
Get out of here. But yeah, you
all
said it
guys,
right.
Man, I imagine, like, with girls as children, it would be a whole different thing.
I think
know?
it would be a reversal, and I hate to be that guy that's like contradicting when it comes to sexism, because there is a double standard. I'll admit it. I'm not a father of a woman, a girl, so I mean, but in my mind, I think I would, because I know how guys are when it comes to pursuing sex and being, you know, that guy. I probably would rather her be the fighter than the sexually active one. You know, and it's very contradicting and very, you know, I acknowledge that, but that's my preference.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right as a parent as well. So, all right, dude, all of this conversation let's see if Karen had some validity to her claims that this is inappropriate for children. So
I got to see this. I got to see, like, what flipped her out.
It's called PreBirth. Here we go.
Oh, boy. Yep, this is Adult Swim. I can tell the vibe already.
It's terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
He just puked up a baby.
Okay.
Okay. What? Whoa, okay. This is not Adult Swim? It's a promo too, which is crazy.
They will. Okay. I might need to change a little bit what I've said. Now that I know what her issue is. I think I'm not going to change too much, though, because the same thing goes. Like, you should be monitoring what your child's watching, especially after 10 o'clock. Like, your kids should be in bed, or if you want them to stay, if they're allowed to stay up, let them watch the whole Disney Plus shit, you know, whatever. Not something that you know there's Adult Swim that's going to have adult content. With that being said, even me, I've raised some eyebrows on that. Like, Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, whoever, Time Warner, they approve that? That is weird. Very weird.
Like I just now said, I've been exposed to horror movies and adult content ever since I can remember. I remember watching, like, Lost Boys as a young kid. Like, when it came out, probably, like, 1989 or something like that. I was 7 years old, and I thought it was the best. And then there was this movie called Nightbreed, and my mom actually made me turn that one off because she walked into the room and one of the characters had, like, razor blades on little rings on his fingers, and he was literally peeling his face off, and she was just like, not happening. So, I mean, she did have limits. She wouldn't have let me watch Raw, but my older brother babysat us a lot. He didn't care. So anyways, all that said to say, when Victoria showed me the clip, because my tune at first is like, look at these uptight Karens tripping about nothing. It's just the classic case of people being overly sensitive about shit. And then I watched and I was like, whoa, that is real fucked up.
Yeah,
That's scary, dude. Like, it definitely looks like satanic shit.
It does. You know what? I'm gonna give this Karen a pass. I'm not even gonna call her Karen. Let's get Shelby a pass on this one, okay? She has the right to be a little upset, okay? Now, like I said, I stand by, like, maybe you should monitor what your kid's watching and give them a bedtime, or, you know, just not let them watch Adult Swim after 10 o'clock. But that is something to look into. Like, what the fuck was that? Wow.
They call it Adult Swim because it's not for kids. It's
Absolutely.
like the same at a swimming pool. It's Adult Swim when the kids aren't allowed to go in there. That said, it's obvious that adult label is also meant to entice people that are kind of at the threshold. Like, when you see the forbidden fruit, all you want to do is eat it. So when you hang that in front of me and you're like, at 8:50, the kids' cartoon's in, and in 10 more minutes, I can watch the grown-up stuff, then you're going to be compelled to stick around and see what the grown-ups are up to, because as a kid, you just want to be nothing but a grown-up, and then you get to being a grown-up, and then you want nothing more than to start a YouTube channel talking about Marvel movies, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Help to your brother out the street. Subscribe to my dad's YouTube channel, Love, Peace, and Chicken Feet.
I know I'm not